Okay, welcome back to Starbound. This is part 6 now of the video series I'm uploading onto YouTube. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to talk a little bit about a topic not related to the gameplay. Because what I want to do at this stage in the game is farm some iron ore, which isn't all that exciting. But what it does allow me to do is talk about a couple of topics as I go. So on this new channel, NS Gaming, NS standing for National Socialist Gaming. Oops, let's get some torches. Oh, maybe I don't have any. Oops. Actually, spears. There we are, leather. Good supply of torches. Yes, on my channel, the latest video I've uploaded was talk about artificial intelligence. So I wanted to talk a little bit about futurism. Now that we're just going to do some mining. Silicon board. Some interesting goodies there. So on my property, on our property, family property, we've got about 50 acres. And I mean, most people wouldn't have much familiarity with what it's like to live on an acreage. But, you know, the environment around here isn't sort of something that necessarily manages itself all that efficiently. Australia is a country where we've had a few problems with introduced species and things thrown out of balance a little bit. So here in Tasmania we had a sort of natural balance that was upset by the Europeans coming here. And for example, we had a Tasmanian tiger that's now extinct. That was a predator species. And I mean, it's easy to understand why they went extinct, because the minute we brought sheep here, the Tasmanian tigers went right for them. And they're all shot pretty much, so we have a lot of possums and wallabies in our forests without any natural. The Tasmanian tiger would have been a natural predator then, but no longer. It's a pretty deep shaft down there. Not seeing any ore deposits though. And you know, we've also introduced things like rabbits and even some birds. I'm a little bit upset about the fact that we've brought starlings to the country. If you see my Twitter, you notice I've been in a little bit of a war with the starlings. That's been grisly at times. Not a lot of ore popping out at the surface compared to our area. I'll leave him alone. The other one didn't drop anything much, did he? Yeah, so this is somewhere, this land we own in particular, if I wanted to landscape it and bring it to its full potential, it would take so much work if it was just human hands doing it. You know, I'd need just about a small army, really. And it's also somewhere, I think it's probably getting a little bit more arid as well. So the gum trees, for example, we have some lovely established trees, but I don't see a lot of new ones growing anywhere except on our property we have a septic field. That's the only place I actually see the smaller the newer eucalypts growing. Let's get some cobblestone now. So what happens? What happens is, yeah, it could be that climate's getting a little bit more arid here. But what tends to happen is, you know, we get kangaroos and or wallabies come down at night and they manage to find some nutrients out of what seems like a very dry amounts of grass and things like that. And, you know, they leave a lot of droppings behind. And we've got sheep as well that do the same thing. I'll go back and cook this steak up. Getting a little bit hungry here, I can see on my bar. So yeah, they leave a lot of droppings behind, and what happens in the dry is that the droppings are moist when they're freshly left, but soon they just sort of, you know, the sun sort of bakes them over. Let's make a steak here. Is that all I can make? Yeah, it looks like it. Not quite ready to start planting crops yet. I've got a bit of other things to do. So I was thinking about, so yeah, I just uploaded a video where someone's talking about AI and futurism. And a lot of these scenarios the futurists paint about our existence of AI is a little bit bleak. But you know, I think if we're going to remain in control of these new exciting technologies, we have to assign some very specific purposes to what it is these robots and things are meant to do. So, just like when you have livestock, when you introduce livestock in an environment, you don't just let it do what it likes, you know. you define parameters pretty clearly, and you know, you monitor its progress in a relatively closed environment. So I'm a little bit concerned that in some ways we've just opened Pandora's box and are just going to stand back and watch how this all goes. But certainly this property here is somewhere I think it would be a good place to test some environmental bots, if you like. So it's pretty deep down there. It's oops. Rock full of copper. So in some ways the land around here is a little bit like a messy room. So here we go, this looks like an old abandoned mine. So there's plenty of so yeah, I've been thinking about ways in which a robot would help both tidy the environment, landscape the environment, and sort of harvest some resources from the environment as well. So I mean, basic things like it might just start collecting loose wood on the ground. It would have to then sort that. So this wood might be suitable for burning, this might be suitable to turn into wood chips, this might be wood that's big enough to suit for some sort of construction or furniture use, and so on. And yeah, this land's also somewhere where you could also have a bit of a limestone quarry, so you just trundle around, you'll see rocks sticking out of the ground. They can be removed from the ground and again sorted into suitability for different sort of masonry projects. So obviously you can see you can see how this game is conducive to thinking about this kind of thing. So obviously you're in a virtual world here where it's up to you to sort of craft the environment in a way that pleases you. And your avatar in this game is a civilizer, so you have to survive and you have to civilize. So that's probably part of why I think this is a good video to record some gameplay with, because anything it gets us to think in this direction I'm going to put down as a positive influence, I think. So yeah, for me, thinking about AI and futurism, I don't want driverless cars, I don't want virtual reality. I mean, okay, for some people it might think that stuff's great, but the mindset of these things is centered around idleness. It's like a future where we don't do anything. You know, I don't want to sit there and get served and grow fat and lazy and ultimately irrelevant in the scheme of things. So, you know, if whether you're talking about smartphones or robots, if you get them to do everything, you don't want your agency to be removed from the equation. You know, it's not just about you're not just there so they can start doing everything. But again, if you have specific challenges in mind, if you have specific parameters in mind, of course, this is a big challenge of our age, I think, is getting a handle on exactly how we're going to coexist with you know, robots. If a robot takes over a production line or something, I mean, okay, that's a boring, repetitive job someone's no longer doing. You know, I mean, that's. But then we have to become more ambitious about how we then sculpt the environment, about what sort of technology we harness to, you know, improve the environment at large. And yeah, that might mean, you know, not robots, landscaping robots, mining robots, and we'll have to be there monitoring them every step of the way. It'll be a long process before you can have sentient, well, somewhat sentient. I mean, I'm talking about a robot that's able to look at some trees and work out this is a living tree, this is a dead tree. Maybe we can harvest the dead material and foster the living material. That's just a very simple thing for an AI sort of landscaping bot to do. And at first if you monitor it very carefully, but after a while you might be able to let it go. And I also think, for me, futurism means getting away from some of what we've been doing before. So, you know, I imagine, for example, we've probably got enough highways and roads and things. So if I conceive of a future settlement taking place out the back of where I live now, for example, in Tasmania, I wouldn't want roads going in there, but maybe rail would be something that would be suitable. You know, so, you know, we're fortunate to live somewhere where we don't have a whole bunch of traffic outside, and this is something a majority of people are just learning to live with, I guess. But these sort of things aren't always, you know, most conducive to health and well-being, you know, just to live near a constant stream of traffic and have to filter that out. And but, you know, having places to ride your bike, or having roads that are either designed for jogging, walking, cycling, or even if you're a little bit, if you wanted to have some sort of motorised technology, you might have something like a Segway smart scooter or something. One type of road, not a road that runs a car, but you have little laneways that can accommodate feet and pedal, and maybe like a Segway or something like that, but not trucks and cars or noisy vehicles. So I guess I'm thinking about crafting little communities out of environments that maybe robots or advanced machines are taking some part in sculpting. This is something that could be part of a space program. If we want to land on a planet, and I mean, I'm not talking about Mars, or it could be Mars, I suppose, but imagine you find a planet with an atmosphere and has a somewhat natural environment. You might want some kind of robot to do a bit of work before you show up. Again, not seeing a great deal of, I better go back and heal in my bed. Health bar's a bit messed up.